Okay, we're going to do a Q&A now, so don't go anywhere. We're going to talk to Dan and Randall and Marshall and have more fun.
What's up, everyone? How are you? I'm Amy. I am the Development and Outreach Manager here at ISA, but I'm also, in my other life, I am a showrunner's assistant and a writer's assistant on some pilots that you may see coming to the screen soon, and that's how I met Randall and Dan. We worked on a pilot, what feels like a long time ago together, and I thought of them to bring them into this project, and I had the pleasure of meeting Marshall during this experience. And so we're just going to have a quick little Q&A. I know it's Friday night, but I mean, let's soak up this incredible experience while we've got it on screen. Why not, right? Okay. So let's start off. Marshall, I want to talk to you first. I just want to hear about you, where you're from, how you got into writing. Just give us a little background on you, please.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Providence, Rhode Island. I've lived a bunch of different places. I started writing when I was very, very young because I'm a very emotional person and needed an outlet for it. So I started writing poetry and rap when I was like 10 or 11, 12, something like that, middle school. And then, yeah, now I'm here. I don't know. I've like written in a lot of different forms since then. I had a play go up last year. I was a slam poet for a long time. I've released a couple of albums of rap, and so yeah.
Okay, so you had this past with slam poetry and with rap. How did that experience and that world inform the script? And especially, I mean, I personally, as a reader, I felt the cadence of the script was potentially informed by your slam poetry. Is that correct?
I mean, yeah, everything's informed by everything. I obviously the characters in the script are like artists themselves, but I think like more what you're asking about is like how it affected my process in writing it. I'm really, I don't know. I feel like there's very little difference between forms. I think that like form distinction gets like it gets treated like it's a bigger thing than it is. A lot of the time when I'm writing a script, it feels to me a lot like a form poem, you know, like there's constraints on what types of things I can say and what types of lines people expect. But fundamentally, the like mechanics of telling a story and trying to impart an emotion or a thought feel very much the same to me. The characters themselves being artists, yeah, I don't know. I think slam poetry has been portrayed on screen a couple times, but like mostly in documentaries. And I feel like for a long time while I was in that community, we would joke that there needed to be like a Degrassi type drama about slam poets. And this is like not that, but I do think that it, you know, uses like local art community as a forum for discussing the ways that those things affect people, the ways that like capitalism and art intersect, the ways that like gender and hip hop intersect.
Love that. Yeah. And so Randall, kind of going off of that, and Dan, obviously feel free to jump in too. What was the biggest, when taking the script on as the director and producer, what was of biggest importance to you guys in this script, and what was the elements in the script that you wanted to highlight the most?
Well, first, I think in my haste at the front side, I neglected to thank Dan, who's a great partner for me in this process. So thank you.
Really didn't notice.
But you know, as far as getting a hold of the material, I think it just I mean, the world struck me. Obviously, you know, it's exciting to have a piece that has what I think is not just a unique voice, but also a setting that was very inclusive, you know, which was important to me. And it's exciting to work with, you know, emerging talent and people that I haven't had a chance to play with before. And this was going to be a great opportunity for that.
Yeah, I thought there was such a nice heart to the script. And even though like Clinton has such a tough exterior. Like you can tell he's got that soft inside, and I like that Nima at the end really brings it out of him, and felt like a great starting off point for a future series. So that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about, I feel like a lot on the front side was off of that comment about Clinton. I'm pointing to where Dan is on my screen. off of the comment about Clinton and having heart, is that Marshall created a world and characters who have inherent conflict, about wanting to do the right thing, maybe not for the exact right reason, or having conflicting reasons for doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I feel like I could see at the end so many ways that this partnership of theirs could go. And I think you did a great job of setting that up, Marshall, right at the end, where you see their differences, you see why they're similar, you see why they're the odd couple, and that's the series. And I think you did that masterfully. So kind of going off of that, Randall and Dan, what else does Marshall do well as a writer in this script?
Oh, you're just gonna make me love on Marshall, right?
I am. It's his night, baby.
Sit back and enjoy it. Well, I mean, it's not hidden. It really is about that heart, and he's got really a deft touch with the pen. I guess nobody uses a pen anymore, but in doing subtle humor, that draws you in, and makes for very relatable characters.
Yeah, and I thought it was such an immersive world. It really brought me in. It's not a world I've spent a lot of time in, and I felt like by the end of it, I was like, oh, I kind of feel like I'm a part of this world now. And I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah, I completely agree with all of that. Obviously, Marshall, did that feel good, Marshall? Did that feel good?
No, it never ever feels good to receive praise to me. I'm super awkward about it. But I mean, like, I appreciate all the things, and like, I'm like not trying to dismiss it, but it makes me so uncomfortable. I'm like,
I'm sorry.
can I just turn my video off and you talk behind my back? Is that okay?
No, we'll move right along. Don't worry, we'll just pass it right by. Well, this question's for you, so you get ready. What are your hopes for this script, and how has the ISA helped you get some recognition with this script?
Sure, yeah. I mean, first of all, I think just the validation of having someone read your work, experience your work, and resonate with it and like it and like laud it is really validating. I'm like awkward about receiving that praise to my face, but it does feel really good, to know that it's headed in the right direction, to feel like to feel like the text affected somebody. I've been writing a long time, but screenplay is like kind of a new format for me. And so that was really validating. Like, again, I spent a lot of time as a slam poet where you like kind of get instant feedback, you write a thing and then you stand up on stage and they literally give you a score. And so this like competitions have like kind of taken that role for me. It's like hard for me to judge if it's doing the right thing, if it's like working as a story without that feedback. And so to get that from people who like have experience reading scripts and reading this format is like really, really validating, and really, really fulfilling. As far as where it's going, I mean, I want to shoot it.
Just jump in. I can tell you, we had a ton of entries for this contest, and you were hand-selected by our team. So I'm sorry to keep reaping the praise.
No, it's good. This is the thing that I need to get through. But thank you. I'm like flattered. I'm happy that it worked that way. I'm happy.
Straight to the top. That's where he's going.
Straight to the top.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I want to shoot it. I think that again, like film is like a new kind of production for me, but I like have some experience producing art. And so yeah, like that's my ideas. Like I have a lot of other ideas for stories that could be told in this universe, but thing about this universe that I want to tell. Most of my experience is in writers' rooms that are highly collaborative, where people have like individual ownership of the work, certainly, but also we're working together to like create a cohesive narrative. And that's kind of what I imagine. I imagine, I think that the conflicts that that y'all pointed out in the script are not imposed. You know, like those are conflicts that I observe in the world, and so I think that the show and the characters have a really good venue for telling that kind of story. But I don't have all of that, you know, like I have one perspective on it. And so like what I'm kind of interested in is like finding other people who can also tell stories in this universe and like developing it into a more collaborative world.
Yeah, I mean, I think you are off to a good start here. I mean, obviously, did the competition in general speak to you? I mean, I know that you said you're new to screenplays. Are you also new to entering competitions? And what about this ISA competition spoke to you?
Yeah, so I finished the script. I mean, finished. I finished a draft of the script earlier this year, and like I said, like was kind of looking for that feedback. And so I don't know. I did web searches on places to send it, competitions to enter. The ones that like really stuck out to me were the ones where the prize was this. You know, the prize was collaborating with people. The prize was shooting a table read. The prize was producing it in some form. The prize was developing it further. I think that a lot of competitions, you know, are like what's the word I'm looking for? Like kind of like end of the they're the end of the road. You know, like you get the competition and they announce their winners and they're like congratulations, and like that's good. It's an accolade, but also like I don't want this to stop. You know, like my goal with it is to expand it and learn more about it and think about different angles of it. And so yeah, I appreciated the table read as a venue for that. It's always really interesting just to hear other people read your words. There were like several times during the recording where just people had a different take on a line that I was like, oh, that's not how I meant it. It's not bad. It doesn't not work, but it's just a different perspective on it. And that to me is where all the meaning comes from. You know, like meaning making is collaborative. And so to see other people doing that with the things that I'm trying to communicate is
Yeah, no,
what I was looking for.
I think that's beautiful. Thank you. That's warmed our hearts over here at ISA. Randall and Dan, what excited you about taking on the ISA table read competition directing and producing role?
Randall, you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, for me, this is a new experience, but I would agree with Marshall that, you know, so many things are terminal rather than collaborative, you know, and it was also, I thought this was an exciting answer to the moment that we're living right now, being in COVID and having to, you know, it's a struggle to share and to collaborate and to produce work. And I think we, as creative people and as a community, like need that outlet and need to be able to exercise those muscles so we don't have our own atrophy. So it was again, the work itself was exciting, you know, to see the level that we were going to be able to work at, and the chance to have new collaborations. You know, I'm working on a production now, and I'm often working out here, but the opportunities to bring new people into the tent isn't always that obvious.
Anything to add, Dan?
I just miss being on set. This was so nice to be able to work on something, especially with Randall, who I've been working with for 9+ years, and really collaborate with him and meet a bunch of new actors, meet Marshall, and it's been great. I think we'll be happy to do more ISA stuff in the future too. We love it.
Oh my God, don't say that. You're gonna get emails from me every day. Marshall, I have a question actually from an audience member, if you're ready. This is from Nate McCoy, and he's asking, dealing with the idea of selling out was a main drive in this episode. Was that from personal experience or just natural reflection of the industry as writers, entertainers, musicians meet the money aspect of the biz? Do you have any anecdote about approaching a line where you felt like you were being asked to sacrifice your art for money and giving up ownership and vision?
So it's definitely from personal experience. I am not any of the characters, which is like a thing that I think Randall asked me during the production process, right? Like they're, they're all of them are my perspective. You know, all of them are like, I think this person kind of thinks this, and I think this person kind of thinks this, and I think this person kind of thinks this. And um, I think that the idea of selling out is it's a big concept that gets used to kind of obfuscate a lot of smaller things. I think it's very rare that someone comes to you and says, "Give me 10 million, I will give you $10 million, and then I own your art." I think selling out is, generally speaking, more progressive than that, you know. And it's so I don't feel like I have like, you know, that experience where somebody came to me and said, "You have to change this." I just kind of feel like every note is that, you know, every note is somebody else's take on it that I then have to take back to my writing and go, does this actually match what I'm trying to do? Does this reflect the thing that I'm trying to achieve? Does this like square with the message that I'm trying to impart? Or is this them, you know, trying to push me in a different direction? And obviously not every different direction is bad. Notes are really, really useful for exactly this reason, because then I have questions that other people had to answer. Um, I think money is a really big, terrible pull on art. I think money's a pretty big, terrible pull on everything, but art in particular, because it's for me at least, art has always been specifically about not that. You know, I've started writing to, you know, to talk about my emotion and my myself, you know, my identity, and that's not compatible with doing something commodified. Like it's just not, you know. um so I don't know. I like, actually, I quit my job rounding on 2 years ago now. No, I guess it's like rounding on last year. It was, I quit my job in July last year of 2019. Um, and I was a computer programmer, and I was making pretty good money doing it, but it was not fulfilling me as work. And so I quit my job specifically to do this. And so I'm like kind of struggling with this thing all the time about how much of this is what I mean to be doing, and how much of it do I feel compelled to do because I want to advance this as a career.
Mhm.
But I'm like pretty defensive about it. I hope I didn't. I hope that the other people involved in the production did not have that experience of me. But I'm pretty defensive about it, because I did that, specifically because I quit my job, because it makes me feel like if I wanted to, you know, if I wanted to just do a thing that would make me money, I could have kept the job I had. So I don't know. I don't, I think, like I said, I don't think that selling out is like a thing that happens. I don't think it's an event. I think it's an attitude that you have towards your art, kind of, you know, like selling out is any time that you feel like the money is more important than the message. And I also, not to get too deep into it, but I also kind of think that a lot of, because there's money on the line with art, a lot of people are kind of not really artists, which is to say there's no selling out, because that's all they ever meant to do with it, was to make money off of it. So
Right. Yeah.
I'm
No.
better than them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on that note, what advice do you have to writers watching this, to fellow ISA members?
God.
Did you love this experience?
My
What
advice is
recommend?
don't listen to me. No. uh, no, I don't have any advice. I mean, my advice is write about what you care about, which I know is like really like generic advice. But I mean it sincerely. I think that I'm a really big Audre Lorde fan, and in Poetry is Not a Luxury, she talks specifically about the way that poetry has been like co-opted to mean clever word tricks, and not like the discovery of meaning, and not distilling your experience into words. I think that language, written language in particular, has a lot of power to you know, identify and draw attention to the ways that we as individuals are experiencing the world, and thus to connect us across those experiences, and thus to affect them and improve things and make things better. And so write to do that, you know, like write because there's something that you don't understand and you're trying to figure it out and you're trying to put it into words, right? Because you're trying to like get a handle on your life and what's going on around you. And I think that like trying to make stories that do that, I talk a lot, like when I teach workshops, I talk a lot about writing into concepts, which is like you know, trying to figure out what you're saying before you try to say it. You know, I think it's like very easy to jump to, I want to write a pilot, or I want to write a movie, or I want to write a book of poetry. And those are all forms and not content. You know, like you need to know what you're trying to say, what you're trying to express. What is your book about? What is your script about? What are you, you know, what are the themes of it? What are you, and those are things that you can't know before you've started writing. You can't know before you've started exploring them. And sometimes you can do that exploration. Like I've done some of that exploration for like poetry and hip hop and capitalism just by interacting with it and thinking about it and like being involved in it in like a very practical sense. But without that understanding, without that like, you know, underlying you know, understanding of the thing that you're trying to express, it's going to be hard to express it. When anytime I'm editing anything for anyone else, the first question I ask is, what are you trying to say and to who? You know, and before you know what you're trying to say and to who, it's impossible to know if you're doing it effectively. And so I think that a lot, my advice is to not jump into trying to say it before you know what you're trying to say.
I love that. Yeah. And I keep reminding myself to listen more and talk less. And if I am going to talk, I'm going to put in a script. So I love that advice that you have. And Randall and Dan, kind of on the same advice track that we're on here, what advice do you have during these challenging times that we're all in, to all the writers listening, to all the ISA members listening? What do you recommend to them?
Holy crap. First, I'm going to get a t-shirt that says Marshall. That was an amazing statement about the art and having something to say. You know, I go back to the collaborative part of it, and Amy, you sort of hit the nail on the head. You know, Granny used to say you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so listen more and talk less. So as far as advice on how to navigate these times, I think when we are challenged to make anything, and so therefore we will probably make fewer things, I think the more authentic that you can be, and the more that you are asking those questions about the work that you are involving yourself with, and this is a good time to be able to do that, because there's a little bit of room and you know, and air to take that time to be thoughtful. You know, the part of the essential question, you know, in this pilot is all about you know, what is it that you want to accomplish, and who are you going to listen to? You know, I think that Marshall makes a strong point about the difference between, you know, like I think people say sell out like it is an event, like it is a one thing, but it's also like a defense mechanism. Like, you know, to get notes is not to sell out. You know, to have notes, if people have questions about something that you're working on, and you truly want to be in a collaborative space to better the art, then that's a note that you listen to. You don't have to listen to them all, but that is something that you need to address. It's not in a vacuum if you want to share. I'm not sure I answered the question about advice, because I'm not sure if I have got any strong advice this week, but there you go.
No, that was great. Thank you so much. And I think that really leaves us on a good note. And something that I love about the ISA is this community. Obviously, you can see in the chat, and Marshall and all of the cast members, please take time to read the chat, because obviously people are just glowing for you. I love this community here with ISA. I love this competition, how we bring together A-list talent, A-list directors, producers with up and coming writers, and lift their voice. I mean, this is such an amazing opportunity for Marshall, and such an amazing opportunity for us to work with Randall and Dan. And we're so very, very grateful and thankful that everyone came out this Friday to watch and listen in. And so thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and please take care and be safe and be well. And thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Amy. That was awesome.
Thank you,
Everybody,
Amy.
so much. I'd love to have all the actors say hello and goodbye. You're all fantastic.
You were incredible. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hey.
Well done, brother, bringing us to life like that. I like it.
Such a fantastic experience. Thank you, all of you, for your talent, for your passion, your time, and your energy.
Thank you, Molly, Amy, Dan, Randall, Marshall.
Thank
Rip.
you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.